to be talking about sprite properties. And for your journal prompt, what is your definition of a sprite? What sprite properties do you know how to use? What other sprite properties might be useful? Pause the video here so you can type the prompt in your journal and answer it. Our question of the day is, how can we use sprite properties to change their appearance on the screen? So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer that by summarizing what we've done during the lesson. So far, we've only been able to control our sprite's location and animation, but in this lesson, we're going to learn how to update other sprite properties so we can make even better programs. Go to Code Studio, Lesson 8, Level 1. Do this. Look at the code, predict. Look at the code below and predict where the bee sprite will appear. These are your options, and this is a multiple choice question. So look at this code. You have to make a selection before you can run it. You can show the grid ahead of time though. So I want you to predict where the bee sprite will appear, and then come back to this so that we can look at level 2. And I'm going to do level 2 with you. So sprite properties keep track of all the information your program needs to know about a sprite, such as its size and location. You can change the values of these properties just like you do variables and see the results within when your sprite is drawn on the screen. Do this. Run the program to see where the sprites appear. Change the X and Y properties of the paintbrush to move it to the palette. So we want to change the X and the Y to move it to the palette. So let's figure out a good X and Y. Really anything that's within this realm would work. I'm going to go with 132 and 265. 132 and 265. Reset and see if that worked. It did. But again, I wasn't thinking about how it's the middle. So I'm going to change these back because I want the tip to be at that point, not the middle. So if I think about where I want that to be, I want the middle part to be about right here. So 180 and 230. Reset, and there we go. So do you see how that works? We have a variable called palette where we created a sprite. We have set the animation of the palette variable to be a paint palette. We did the same thing with the variable brush, except we set the animation of the brush variable to be a paintbrush. And then we can individually change the X and the Y coordinates of these variables, and then we can draw the sprites. So hit finish whenever you're done with that, and then pause the video so you can do level 2, and then come back. On level 4, you're going to practice both of these. So the scale property and the rotation property, because both of those are going to be properties that you can use in the future. So it's good to practice them. Do all of the levels on level 4. Follow the instructions and don't forget the help and tips tab if you need help. Pause the video here so that you can complete both of those on level 4. Level 5 is your assessment level, and you're going to need to follow the instructions on level 5. The food is way too big to fit on the plate. Use your knowledge of sprite properties to make it fit. Run the program to see how big the food is. Yeah, so you're going to have to change the scale of all the food so that it fits on the plate similarly to this example image. There is a lot of trial and error involved, and it's problem solving. And so again, this is something that you could use for your portrait of a graduate evidence. So the rubric, to get a 4 for this one, you will need the arrangement of sprites to be identical to the example provided in the instructions. To get a 3, the sprites have been resized to fit inside the circle. There may be some slight differences between the student's work and the provided example. So if you want to get the best score possible, you're going to need to make it look identical to this, okay? Pause the video here so that you can complete the assessment. And then on level 6, do any or all of the challenge levels. You're learning about 3 new blocks, so I want you to do each one of these. Option A teaches you about the tint block. Option B teaches you about a height and width block. And then option C teaches you about the alpha block, and the alpha block makes things transparent. So all of these are going to be new properties that you can change your sprites with, and they might help you if that's something that you are interested in using in the future, but you won't know if you want to use it if you don't learn how to use it. So pause the video here, and then whenever you're done with all 3 of those, come back so we can finish our final journal. And also take a screenshot of your completed code for level 6. Just choose one, and I'll go back to verify on code.org. And so you'll submit that screenshot with your completed code to Schoology. So our final journal, what is one way sprite properties are the same as variables? What's one way that sprite properties are different from variables? You'll have to type this in your journal and then answer the question. Pause it here so you can do that. And then answer the question of the day. How can we use sprite properties to change their appearance on the screen? You're summarizing what we have done, and that's going to be it for lesson 8. Let me know if you have any questions.